Thank you, Josette. And for our final awards talk of the meeting, last but certainly not least, the recipient of the 2016 Ramón Margalef Award for Excellence in Education is Dr. Ken Dunton, who is professor in the Department of Marine Science at the University of Texas at Austin Marine Science Institute. And this award recognizes excellence in teaching and mentoring in the fields of limnology and oceanography at any career stage. And Ken is receiving the Margalef Award for being a visionary and continually creating new and innovative approaches to bridge science and education, bringing hands-on, real-world outreach into local communities and training science teachers and the next generation of marine scientists and ecologists. And in reading Ken's biography, I feel like this citation really captures the passion and dedication that Ken has for developing and sustaining educational programs to engage and inspire young people to become excited about marine science. Ken's education and outreach efforts span age groups from kindergartners to postdoctoral researchers and science teachers in locations from Texas to Alaska. A hallmark of his outreach programs is the desire to give people hands-on experience and engagement in scientific research. And one of his programs that exemplifies this is his summer oceanography program in Kaptovik, Alaska, which is a small village on the Alaskan Arctic coast. And this program hosts week-long learning camps that give local students the chance to become immersed in scientific research. Ken's also developed the University of Texas Marine Institute Summer Science Program for 3rd through 8th grade students, for students across Texas to interact with scientists in the field and lab. And these two programs together have given over 1,000 students to date direct exposure to scientific research since their inception about 8 years ago. And I could go on and on about all the great programs that Ken has developed, including those aimed at mentorship for undergraduate and graduate students, but I'll let him talk about that. And a former student of Ken's nominated him for the Margalef Award. And she stated that from the time she took her first field course from Ken, she knew that she wanted to become a field ecologist, and that now that she is an educator, she continues to draw on her experiences and inspiration that she received through Ken's mentorship. So Ken really serves as a very strong role model through his creative approaches to science education and his drive to inspire curiosity about the aquatic sciences. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Ken Dunton.
Okay, so here we go. Well, thank you, Kim, for that very kind introduction. It's wonderful to be here, and thank you all for coming after a long week. I'm deeply honored to receive this prestigious award. My sincere thanks to Kim's committee and ASLO for the honor of this award, my nominator, Heather Alexander, who is a grad student, as you heard in my lab, and the folks who wrote letters of support. And to all my students, both undergraduate and graduate, postdoc fellows, and many colleagues who made my job really the best on the planet. The theme of this talk is education, and for me, it stretches from elementary school students to postdocs. Although teaching and mentoring is something that many of us do most of the year, we are trained in science, but are left to follow our instincts on how we will deal with students. So putting together this talk was a bit of a challenge for me. It forced me to reflect on lessons learned, on my thoughts in blending research, teaching, and mentorship. During the next few minutes, I will present a half a dozen suggestions for ideas I believe are central tenets for teaching and mentoring across a wide range of student ages. But before I begin, I want to recognize the person who bears the name of this outstanding award. And that, of course, is Ramón Margalef. Having read his book and his biography, it's apparent that Margalef was a brilliant Spanish ecologist and could write and communicate easily with students. It was his ease of merging his broad research interests, teaching and mentorship that brought him such recognition by his colleagues. To receive this award in his name is both tremendous and humbling. Dr. Margalef was a great role model for many people. He understood that teaching was a state of knowledge. If you can't teach it, then you really don't know it. I found teaching a powerful learning experience that was very strong. There was a very strong positive influence on the questions we ask and the research that we do. And from reading his biography and book, I believe this was the philosophy of Ramón Margalef as well. I owe my start in real field research to my very first mentor, Dr. Bob Vadas at the University of Maine. Bob ignited my passion for ecological studies and with underwater marine vegetation in general. His enthusiasm for science, like so many phycologists, was simply contagious. I had the pleasure of having dinner with Bob Vadas last summer in Maine. As we sat on the banks of the Penobscot River, near Orono, trading stories, I recalled my happy days in his lab and his class as an undergraduate. I reminded him of his enthusiasm, which was sometimes embarrassing. I distinctly remember that one of our individual projects that contributed a significant part of our grade in phycology, his class in phycology, was to successfully cultivate a marine algal through at least one reproductive stage. I was assigned to this nondescript filamentous red alga called Bangia. Some of you may know it. As a 19-year-old sophomore, I really had no idea what I was doing, except that I had nurtured this poor thing by keeping it free of algal contaminants and bacteria. But I'll never forget the moment that Bob Vadas walked into class one morning and breathlessly announced to the class, Ken Dunton's Bangia has gone sexual. Ken Dunton's Bangia has gone sexual. And so at that point, the class erupted in cheers as something magical had happened. And that memorable event, combined with a lot of field trips to the Maine coast, made me really appreciate the amazing evolutionary history of the algae and immersed me deeply into marine science. So it was these early experiences that shaped my future and ultimately my teaching practices and my active interaction with students. So following my time with Bob Vadas, I was lucky to have a host of successive mentors who guided me through some challenging times in my early career. Each played an important role advising me about performing independent research and how to survive in academia. These included Carter Broad, who first got me to the Arctic as a young master's student in 1977, followed by Don Schell, a professor, my PhD advisor at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, who boasted to his friends how he had taken a biologist to the dark side of chemistry. He was followed by my postdoc advisor, Pat Parker, who is a biogeochemist at the University of Texas. And later on, Dave Payer and Bob Wills also provided very important mentorship for me through my early career. But my faculty members all had something in common. They all effortlessly managed to merge teaching and research into their lives, and they were great at both. This was the legacy they left me, and as did Dr. Margalef, and I am forever appreciative of that. A few years ago, I was asked to give a commencement speech at a local high school. I was on the school board trustee at the time, and I was honored by the invitation, but honestly scared to death. It was, and remains, to this day, one of my most difficult presentations. What final words of wisdom would sink into the heads of restless, squirming, almost high school graduates? I thought of my own situation and concluded my speech to them by saying, you know, your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And to be truly satisfied with what you believe in is to do great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Then set high expectations. Once I magically became a faculty member at UT, I would realize that just doing my research was not enough. My job included education, and I wanted to be good at it. I also felt it was important to communicate my science. I created and led a youth soccer program in our small town, Port Aransas, and coached several teams for a period of 15 years. And parents and kids kept asking me about my job. Why did I go to the Arctic and Antarctic all the time? What did I do there? What was I finding? Was it interesting? Was it fun? What did I learn? And the most difficult question, how did my work affect them? It was the so what question. Most of us want to make a positive difference in our teaching, research, and outreach, and all of that seemed to me at least naturally synergistic. So what did I learn? What were the take-home messages? Well, first and foremost, let your enthusiasm be a catalyst for discovery. You want to inspire, motivate, educate, all at one time. You want to light fires with your research. Science is fun. Make it that way. Build on human natural curiosity. We are born with it. I find middle schoolers have enormous powers of observations and patience. It's really fun to watch them. The other reason why this is important, an abundance of research clearly links an affinity and love of nature along with a positive environmental ethic with students' regular contact and play in the natural world. A growing body of evidence also shows that children who have regular contact with nature are more self-disciplined, have greater imaginative and observational skills, fewer physical elements, and the list goes on. Secondly, tell compelling stories. Yesterday, Angela White ended her excellent talk with the same recommendation. Storytelling is a great way to engage people. I find the most effective way to engage people is through the use of personal experience in the lab or field that incorporate new or unexpected discoveries or observations. Often, the journey itself can make a good story, but illustrating how scientists set goals, encounter failures, and overcome those failures through creative solutions is a great start. Many years ago, I was working hard to explain how climate change was affecting Native Alaskans. Through a special NSF-funded program, I was able to bring two Native Alaskans, Orville Huntington, pictured here, an Athabascan, and Richard Glenn, an Inupiat, to visit our local school district. They were great storytellers. They easily engaged students with their accounts of hunting, fishing, and just plain surviving in the interior wilderness of Alaska and on its raw and frigid coast. They spoke about the very spiritual connection they had with nature and animals that they hunted. The stories kept students spellbound. Third, link your research with local knowledge and concerns with respect to the environment. I think in some sense this could be referred to place-based education, which shows how research is connected to the history, environment, and culture of the immediate community. The approach emphasizes the sense of place that will help students understand the significance of your work on a local scale before you focus too quickly on national or global issues. So local examples here on Texas coast where I live is rising sea level, which is twice the rate of many places in the world because of gas and of subsidence related to oil and gas extraction, with no indication based on IPC projections that will slow down. When presented with this information, the questions from students often include, can mangroves survive? Will the marshes survive? What lives in these habitats? How has this happened before? And we can take them in the field and show them how we might answer these questions, as you can see in these pictures here. So the next good example is in the Arctic, and this is, and a lot of you are aware of this. The low ice extent translates, the Arctic, we're rapidly losing ice, 12% per decade, and already ice extent for this month is noticeably less than in June 2013, as you can see from the diagram. Whoops, darn it. Let me go back again. As you can see here, this June 2016, this was just recorded a few weeks ago, the ice extent is lower than the lowest ice extent that we've had on record, which is September 2012. The September 2012 is a dotted line. So we're already headed for a record low ice year for 2016. So the question is, that low, or the point is that low record ice extent translates into oceanist conditions that Inupiats have never seen. Big waves that cause enormous erosion and frequent washover events of the barrier islands. Since the Inupiats of Katovik lead a subsistence lifestyle, how will sea ice loss affect their fishing and hunting practices, the physical integrity of their village and airport? Both are under siege from large erosion rates that approach 10 meters annually. As you can see here again, we've taken students into the field and teaching them how to measure erosion rates in their own community, along with a lot of other things that we do with them. Fourth, graduate students and undergraduates are fantastic mentors, role models, and communicators. I'm running, as you heard, about roughly three programs, K-12 programs, that owe their popularity and success to graduate student mentors. Many graduate students have a great sense of imagination and superb organizational skills. Young students readily identify and quickly bond with them, and it's also a great exercise for grad student mentors. Most are actively engaged in research and learn the art of communicating their science at the level that young audiences and the public can understand and appreciate. And it's clearly a win-win situation for both. And most importantly, the involvement of women graduates as role models will help inspire young women to pursue their careers, interests in science. Fifth, capitalize on teaching moments. This has to be one of my favorite activities. In the field with students and taking advantage of the moment. In the top right photo, for example, we've just taken a core in a seagrass meadow. And it's spring. In fact, it's this past spring, and I can tell the seagrass story. The challenges of wintering, of underwater sexual reproduction, then the issues of salinity, light, nutrients. How are these challenges overcome? I can link biology, biogeochemistry, habitat, ecosystem services all into a single core. At the same time, be consuming the rhizomes, which are loaded with starch, as an example of how important storage is in these plants for overwintering. This is a great opportunity to explain the nature of science, including, most importantly, how to ask the right questions, making and testing hypotheses, designing experiments, making observations, and discoveries to help explain natural phenomena. Finally, with a relatively high percentage of our population represented in the younger age group, the importance of our commitment to science education by us, scientists, could not be greater. Nearly half, 43%, that's enormous, of the Alaskan Inupiat population is 14 years old or younger. For this reason, any effort to immerse students in science is significant. But whether one spends a few hours in a K-12 classroom, taking kids on a field trip, teaching a study abroad course, or spending time in a remote village with your students, make it repetitive and make it fun. Don't be a flash in the pan. To make a real difference, check the box multiple times. In Katowice, my grad students and I are met with amazing enthusiasm every summer. Our relationship with this small community of a couple hundred is built on a lot of patience and trust and time, and we've learned a lot from their subsistence lifestyle, and they are learning a lot about food webs from us. Before I close, let me take a few moments and entertain you with a short video clip that shows you an example of kinds of activities that we do with middle school students in, thank you, Brian, in Katowice. This is going to be a little out of first because it's on a boat and you can hear the wind. These are grad students with Inupiat native students at Tutcova, off the coast of Alaska, on Beaufort Sea.
Down in there, the big eyes on the bottom.
Good job.
He's got really big eyes.
Oh, yeah, we've got a lot of those.
Yeah, I think it is. These babies.
They don't look skeleton-like. They have a long dorsal fin, like a blenny or a gunnel.
Yeah, they do. Here.
Channel 2 News.
We'll like
Top
this.
of the news at the top of Alaska.
Hello, and welcome to the University of Texas and Fish and Wildlife Oceanography Camp. I am Melanie Tickle.
And I am Caitlin Gallagher, and here's what we learned the past 6 days.
Thank you, Mel.
Thank you, Caitlin. My name is Kimberly Burns. To start off, I would like to show you the Arctic food chain. As you see, the plankton is at the bottom, and the copepod is near it. Then, the fish eat the copepods, the seals eat the fish, and the polar bears eat the seals. Finally, the humans, we eat fish, seals, and polar bears, sometimes polar bears.
Yeah, what's good about this is that you can see clear reference to their subsistence lifestyle and their intimate understanding of food webs. What's really funny is those coffee cups are empty. You see them drinking. Okay, my parting thoughts. Spend time with students. Take them on field trips whenever you can, because such activities are not only fun, but they inspire and get the creative imaginative juices running. Students are an investment in the future, so enjoy teaching and learning with them. You can make a significant difference in their education. This is a group of Estuarine ecology students, and I know I have one graduate in this class from 1994. I don't know if she's out there somewhere. There she is. Deb Finn. Finally, I thank all of those with whom I share this award, especially my former and present grad students, both graduate and undergraduate, postdocs, and our very talented, patient, and dedicated K-12 teachers. I am also grateful to the many faculty at UT Marine Science Institute for encouraging their students to participate in K-12 programs as mentors and whom have set wonderful examples themselves by participating in outreach activities. My thanks in particular to my nominator here on the left, Heather Alexander, who's now a professor at Mississippi State, Cliff Strain, an award-winning science teacher, sixth-grade science teacher, who I've been working with for many years, Meredith Evans, grad student just finishing up a grad student with Jean Fay Lewitt at MSI, who is coordinating right now a summer science program involving 300 students at this very moment. Craig Connolly, who PhD student with Jim McClellan, who was our scientist in residence in Port Aransas High School and Middle School this past year. And Carrie Harris, a grad student of mine who just finished up, who led the Katowice Summer Oceanography program for 3 summers in a row. And of course, lastly, my wife Susan has been a fantastic partner for all these past years. So thank you very, very much.